As Benjamin Franklin said, there are two things that are certain in life: death and taxes. And in this video, we are going to talk about tax accounting and taxes for being a YouTuber. I know, not the most sexy or glamorous thing, but hey, if you're a YouTuber, whether you're a part-time YouTuber or full-time YouTuber, taxes are incredibly important to understand. One thing I have to mention right in the beginning of this video is this: I'm a former accountant, but I'm not your accountant. With that being said, here are 5 incredibly important tax tips when it comes to being a YouTuber. Number 1, hire a tax accountant. Now I want to say, out of anything on this video, this is by far the biggest one. Hire a tax accountant, because compared to a typical or normal job, like a 9 to 5, you can have things like write-offs, you can be tracking expenses, some things you might be able to write off, some things you won't be able to. Every situation is a little bit different, and I'm telling you, the amount of money you're going to spend for a tax accountant is going to be well worth it. One, just make sure everything's correct. Of course, you want to make sure everything looks correct on your taxes. You never want to mess with the IRS. Trust me with that. But then 2, and I think this is the biggest one, is they can allow you to save and have more money in your pocket, because you're like, hey, actually, this one thing that you did when it comes to YouTube, that's actually a write-off. Or this other thing that you did, you can actually take out a higher percentage, for example. Everybody's situation is a little bit different, and I'm telling you, the number one piece of advice I can give you right away for all my YouTubers out there: hire a tax accountant when it comes to your taxes. Number 2, track everything. These two kind of go hand in hand. And this is what I'm going to say. Here's my best piece of advice. The 2 words you're going to hear a lot when it comes to tax accounting is ordinary and necessary. So basically, when you purchase anything, is it in the ordinary and necessary course of the business? And there are some gray areas here. Excuse me, there's a lot of gray areas. Let me word it that way. For example, if, let's say, I bought this microphone, which I did. I bought this microphone with the pure purpose of using it for a YouTube video. That's a write-off, because I'm saying, hey, this is an expense. It's an ordinary and necessary purchase when it comes to me being a YouTuber. When it comes to the shirt, this is actually a custom shirt I made specifically to wear when it comes to my YouTube videos to help, brand my name and kind of have better brand recognition. This is also write-off. But there are some gray areas. For example, when it comes to my phone, certain parts of my phone I can write off, because in case you didn't know, I film all my videos with my phone. If, let's say, I'm out and I need to send an email because I'm doing a brand deal. If, let's say, I need to call somebody and it has some relation to YouTube stuff, let me word it like that, those are write-offs. So the biggest thing I can suggest to a lot of people is to track everything. You're way better off tracking pretty much everything, going to your tax account and saying, hey, here's my phone plan. Here's the percentage of time I use my phone for YouTube, or basically personal versus business. Let me word it like that. They'll write off certain parts of that. When it comes to you driving, for example, as you can imagine, if I'm just going to my friend's place, doesn't matter. But if I, like, say, drive to, I don't know, In-N-Out, amazing fast food chain. And let's say I drive to In-N-Out with the pure purpose of doing a video about In-N-Out, those miles that I drove are actually write-offs. And so the best thing you can do is track everything. If, let's say, you're on the fence, you're like, well, I don't know, I'm not using it specifically for a YouTube video, but it's kind of related to YouTube, but I don't know, track it anyway, because you're way better off, like I said, having your tax accountant go, sorry, yeah, you can't really write that off, and you're like, no big deal, as opposed to, like, say, he or she is like, hey, yeah, you can actually write that off, and you're like, well, shoot, I don't have their receipts on me or anything. Make sure you track anything, even remotely close related to YouTube, and have your tax accountant figure out the rest. Number 3, on that point, have a special credit card. This is kind of being an entrepreneur 101, owning your own business, because remember, if you think about it, you being a YouTuber, you're a business. And so the biggest thing a lot of people do is any single time you go to buy something, you have 2 options. You have your personal credit card and your business credit card. And like I just said earlier, when it comes to tracking everything, this makes things easier, because, for example, take In-N-Out again. Well, I can not only write off the miles that I drove there. Let's say I'm doing a video about all the In-N-Out hacks. In case you don't know, In-N-Out has a secret menu. So let's say I do a video about that. That In-N-Out that I purchased, talking about the secret menu and everything, is a write-off. I'm buying food and it's related to the video and blah, 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 blah. But let's say I'm just driving around. It's been a long day. I'm out with friends. And I stop at In-N-Out and buy it. That's not a write-off. I'm just living life and I'm eating as I normally would, right? But let's say it's at the same location. Let's say there's one in and out. Let's say Marina Del Rey is a pretty iconic one. I can either go there, do a video about it, and that's a write-off. But if I just happen to be there by circumstance with friends and be eating it just as a meal, so to speak, if I'd word it like that, that's not a write-off. And sometimes it can be confusing. The last thing we're going to do is have, like, say, one credit card, and you look at it and you're like, shoot, well, that time I went on, July 17th. Was I filming then, or was I... And then it gets confusing. That's when I have two credit cards, one personal for your just typical purchases, and another credit card when it comes to your business purchases. And like I said, if you're on the fence, if you're like 5% sure that it might be a potential write-off, do it anyway. And then when it comes to, like, say, tax time, you just say to your accountant, like, hey, well, I was actually out and, like, it kind of related to this, kind of didn't. What do you think? And let them decide. But having a special credit card just related to all your YouTube stuff, let me word it like that, absolutely vital. Number 4, how relative is it? This is big. This is a huge one, I think, especially for YouTube, because I'm not gonna lie, some of these pieces of advice I'm giving you, that like having a tax accountant, having a special credit card, tracking everything, that's true for pretty much anybody who owns their own business. This one, though, is very hyper-specific, I think, to YouTubers, because a lot of YouTubers get it wrong. And I want to stress, everybody's situation is different. And the best way to explain this one, it's easier with an analogy, is traveling. You can only really write off certain things that directly relate to, like, say, the videos that you're making. And the problem is a lot of YouTubers tend to have this concept that they try to overblow it. Here's what I mean it's easier with an analogy or an example. Let's say I go to Austin, Texas. Huge fan of Austin. Let's say I'm there for 1 week. And let's say I go, and during that week when I'm there, I get Franklin Barbecue. One of the best barbecue spots in Austin. It has the best brisket in the world. It is a phenomenal place to go. It's so much fun. You wake up at like 7 a.m. You get there. You kind of like tailgate it almost. So you have like a few beers. You have some amazing barbecue. They open at 11. It's an awesome time. And let's say I go to Austin for a week, and I do only one video. So I film only one video about my experience going to Franklin Barbecue. Yes, I can write off that barbecue. Also, as a side note, you can't write off alcohol. Might as well mention that. But I can write off the barbecue because I'm doing an entire dedicated video about Franklin. Like, say I Uber to Franklin, because of course, like say I'm drinking, for example, I can write off that Uber. So things related to Franklin, yes, I can write off. But let's say that's the only video that I make. Let's say the entire week where I'm in Austin, the only thing I really film, edit, and upload in relation to my experience is Franklin Barbecue. It does depend situation to situation. And I want to stress, again, this is why I say I'm a former accountant, but I'm not your accountant, is if, let's say you go to write off other stuff, and by happenstance, you get audited by the IRS. They could potentially argue, and in my opinion, most likely would argue, like, hey, yeah, Franklin's a write-off, of course. But you didn't film anything else. You didn't really film anything else during that week. We're not going to allow you to write off the whole week, if that makes sense. This is why I talk about the relations and how relative is it actually. Because if you're there for an entire week and you try to write off all the stuff during that week, when you really only made one video about Franklin Barbecue, the IRS more likely than not would say, hey, yes, Franklin counts. Yes, that Uber to Franklin counts. Everything else, no, sorry, you cannot write it off. This is also another thing I will say when it comes to being a YouTuber. I'm going to call this like a win-win. To be honest, this way I look at it is, you may be thinking then, well, why not film more? And I think that's a big thing I say, that for me, in kind of a fun way, that when I travel, it almost is motivation, because one, I get more videos out of it. So I do a video about Franklin. Then let's say, talking about Austin, I go to La Barbecue, which I think, by the way, La Barbecue, my favorite barbecue spot in Austin. Then let's say I go to Cidercade, which is a really cool arcade. We pay one fee, and then it's unlimited free gameplay for any game in the arcade. It's pretty sick. It's called Cidercade. So let's do a video about all these different things. I do a video about me going to 6th Street and then Rainy Street. I do a video about Alamo Draft House. I do a video about all these different Austin, Texas things. Like, I'm pretty much filming the entire time, and let's say out of that week, I get 15 videos. Well, one, I got more content, more videos, more money, more content. On the other end, now, I can also write off more stuff because I can directly point to what I was doing. Let's say I do, to use another example, and again, every situation is different, so I am trying to explain this as best I can. Let's say I'm there for a week, and I want to do a crazy vlog. So I'm going to film everything I do as much as I can. And let's say it comes out to be like an hour-long vlog. Let's say it's almost like a low-key movie in a sense. And I film everything from Franklin to La Barbecue to Cidercade, 6th Street, Rainy Street, me going out to different, I get Whataburger, for example, which hate to say it's overrated. I know people from Texas are probably going to hate me, but I think Whataburger is overrated. But let's say you want to try it anyway. Let's say you want to do all these different things. That actually is more of a big write-off because you can directly say, hey, like, how relative is it when it comes to the things you're trying to write off to the actual end product? Well, it's pretty relative. I made, like, say, an hour-long video of all these things I did in Austin, and I had to film them because it's part of my YouTube thing. That's part of my job in a sense. It's ordinary and necessary when it comes to my typical business interactions and procedures. But then in addition, of course, I have all this content to prove exactly what was happening. Now, I do want to say this as a side note. Let's say you're watching this video and you're like, okay, Mark, that all makes sense, but what if I don't upload it? Like, let's say you do a video about La Barbecue and you get down, and this happened to me. I'll be honest, this has happened to me. Sit down to edit it. I edit the video. I'm like, you know what? It's kind of mid. It's just not a good video. I just don't think this is the one. You can technically still write that off. This is where things get might interesting. So some tax accountants I've heard in relation to YouTubers have said, look, if let's say you go to film something and it's just not the video, but you did try to film it, like there's actually some genuine effort, you could typically write it off. So maybe you keep the footage, maybe somehow you have some evidence that in the rare case that the IRS does audit you, you could say, yeah, look, I went to La Barbecue, here's some of my footage that I made, here's even the potential video I was going to upload but decided not to. That is a lot more relative because you did actually try, right? So this is just one example because I think traveling is the biggest thing that a lot of YouTubers do kind of screw up where, again, in the case you get audited, some YouTubers sometimes think, well, I went to this place to do a video about this. I was there for a week and I came back. I'm going to write the whole week off. In some ways, yes. In some ways, no, right? It does depend how relative of the activities that you did were in relation with the content that you made. Again, every situation is a bit different, but this is something to be aware of. And I say this because, like I said, to me, I look at it actually as a win-win. It's almost a low-key motivational for me because I'm like, hey, I get more content if I force myself to film more, but I also get better write-offs, right? So it's actually a win-win. So keep in mind, when it comes to the kind of nitty-gritties and the technicals, which again are very different situation to situation, a lot of times I want to look at what is the almost relative percentages. If I went to a place for a week and I only got, like say I only filmed for 1% of my time, I can write off that 1% of the activities I was doing. But if I was there the entire time, filming nonstop, I can write off a lot more. Number 5, save 30%. Now this does depend upon your tax bracket and a lot of other factors. I'd say though, keep in mind, for most YouTubers, if you are an independent contractor, like say you don't have an LLC or something, that's a subject for a different video, but for most YouTubers, I'm gonna say, if you are an independent contractor and a sole proprietor, typically what's going to happen is when tax season rolls around, you're going to give money. You're not getting money back. This is something that a lot of people are not used to and can be a huge rude awakening because for most people, in most jobs, in most situations, your taxes get taken out when you get that paycheck. So by the time tax season rolls around, you actually get money back. If you're not used to saving money, this could be a huge rude awakening. And what I suggest to a lot of people, I think 30%, to be honest, might be a little high, but I think you're better off being like, look, I'm going to save, and I'm making numbers up, right, to make numbers very, very easy, including write-offs and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to save, I don't know, $6,000. Let's say you save $6,000 of your YouTube earnings to give to the IRS when the tax season rolls around. And let's say they say, hey, you know what, actually, you don't owe us $6,000. You actually only owe us $4,000. You're way better off saying, oh, cool, here's $4,000. I know I have $2 extra that I didn't expect. I can use that for spending money. I can just save it, whatever the case is. Then the opposite of them going to you saying, hey, you have to give us $6,000. And you're like, what? I only have $4,000. What? You didn't save up enough. Again, this does depend upon your tax bracket. It does also depend on, how many write-offs you can actually do. There are a lot of factors to this. And this is why I suggest hire a tax accountant. And I'm also not your tax accountant because every situation is different. But I will say this, you are better off saving more than you think just to be safe. So let's say in a given month, let's say your YouTube earnings are $3,000 in let's say a given month, maybe put away like I don't know, 750 bucks, maybe upwards of 1,000 if you really want to, just to be safe. Worst case scenario, or let me word it this way. Best case scenario, because you may say it like that. Best case scenario, you don't owe that much to the IRS, but you're way better off saving a good amount just to be safe rather than sorry. And last, but definitely not least, a bonus tip: do not use tax software. This is kind of like the yin and yang of the first pro tip, which is by far the most important one in my opinion, to hire a tax accountant. Because if, let's say, you came to me and said, hey Mark, I work at a 9-to-5 job, I work in a cubicle, I have a W-2, the most simple, cliche version of taxes, yeah, tax software like TurboTax, for example, yeah, you could definitely use that, and I think there would be benefits to you using it. But with that being said, with tax software, when it comes to being, like I said, a YouTuber, typically being an independent contractor and whatnot, you can have write-offs and all these different things that I talked about. Tax software tends to sometimes take the safest route. And like I said, there are a lot of gray areas in taxes. This is why by having an actual tax accountant, a human, let me word it like that, they could say, oh, you know what, this works, but this doesn't work. This is a bit of a gray area, but if you do this and this because of this and this will work for you. And I have to stress that point, that when it comes to a lot of tax software, they'll usually say, we don't know, technically because of this one gray area specifically, if, let's say, this particular thing's write-off, would go err on the side of caution, when a tax accountant will have way more information and be able to give you a way just better perspective. I'm telling you, and I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again as this last point. Well, yes, a tax accountant is going to be more expensive than tax software. You're going to have way more money in your pocket by using a tax accountant. Again, even if it's more expensive, and it almost always is, you're going to have way more money in your pocket because of all the write-offs and all the technical stuff when it comes to how they handle those gray areas in your taxes.